Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. I mean, if you're a longtime listener, you should recognize our guest. We have Leanna back on the podcast. It's been, we had her January 21st, 2021 on, and now it's June 23rd. So a year and a half, almost to the exact date
Mm-hmm.
she's coming on now.
Oh yeah, geez. Oh my gosh, it's been a while.
Actually, I'm a whole month off. I'm pretty dumb. So that would be July 21st. Then would that be again? I'm a few years removed from college, and I know that she's just. Are you still in college, or have you graduated?
I am still in college. I'm going for my master's now.
Oh God, one of those people. I tell you, everyone. I have a lot too many friends going for masters. And it's like, weren't you just tortured? Don't you have enough PTSD from school enough already that you're just going back? Some of them, they like to learn, and those people, best of luck to them. But Leanna, it's been a year and a half. What have you been up to since we last had you on?
Oh geez, honestly, not too much really has changed, like big picture in the year and a half. I'm still working out. I'm still grinding. I'm still working my booty off. I got signed by Redcon One, which is pretty cool. Um, Geez, I got a new coach, which has completely changed things for me in the best way possible. Um, I moved in the same state though, just different locations. I'm farther in school, and it is not a pandemic anymore. That is pretty much it though.
That is holy crap. Yeah, I did realize. Yeah, that, like I have not even heard the words coronavirus in like the last 6 months. So everyone, there's the positive to that, at least. But you got a new coach. How has this new coach been making things different from the last one?
So my last coach, he is a great guy. He did do well. He does very well for beginners, and I quickly overcame that. And I found out while working with him, and none of us actually knew. This was actually like right after my show that I actually have an autoimmune disease. So that's why things were not going well for me when it came to prepping or anything like that, is because my body was literally attacking itself. And so when it came to figuring out, okay, I have this autoimmune disease, I needed someone who had more of a medical background and had more experience when it comes to pro athletes, pro coaches, and all that other stuff. And I had to part ways with him, unfortunately. I mean, he's a great guy. He's the one who got me into this sport, and I am forever thankful for him. We're still on really good terms. Um, but actually, kind of funny side note, I tried with a different coach in between my old coach and this new coach, but I was with him for like 3 months, and he gave me an ultimatum. He was like, okay, either we can have a sexual relationship or you're going to have to pay me more. I was like, cool. Well, you didn't give me option number three, which is I leave, which is the option I chose. And then I found this new guy, and he's in a completely different state. He's in Texas. So we're just doing like the whole online coaching type deal. And he's really been helping me figure out the more medical side and really helping me correct like imbalances and all that. And I love him. He's awesome.
Well, damn, that guy beat me to it. I was gonna have to offer you a sexual relationship for this podcast get published. So, damn it, that guy beat me to it. Now, I guess I'm gonna have to wait for someone else then. But that is just absolute. So, how do you do it? Did he tell you in person, or was it over text?
It was over phone call, because
Oh
if it was
God.
over like it was just even worse. I mean, I wish it was kind of over text just so I could like have some substance if like it did come worse to worse. But like I have text conversations with other people talking about that whole thing. But yeah, no, we're not talking. We used to be like good friends, like really, really, really good friends before he offered like coaching and all that. And he's really good at what he does. That's why I was considering it. But then he threw that curveball, and I'm just like, dude, my respect for you just went down the drain.
All the guys out there listening, if you want to ruin a friendship with a female 101, take that guy's lead right there. Okay, we're learning stuff on this podcast right here. Okay, but that is like the third time I've heard that ever happen on this podcast. So I am shocked that that's even a thing and that it's been done by multiple people. But so was the question to your next coach being like, okay, first off, I'm off bounds, really basically like no looky, no touchy kind of thing with the new coach then?
So he's married and has kids. And I looked at that before. That's something I was kind of adamant about, I guess, when it came for, I hate this word, but like shopping for a coach, but that's kind of what you do, you know? It's kind of like a museum, and you look and you learn, and then you figure out which exhibit best models what your interests and goals are. Um, and that's kind of what I did. And then obviously he wasn't the first coach I interviewed. I interviewed a whole bunch of coaches, like a whole bunch of them. And then I was like, this is the one where I feel the connection. I feel the vibe. I really think we could do well as a team. And then he agreed, and now here we are.
What are some of the questions that you like to bring up when you're interviewing a coach? Because I've had so many guests on that talk about like how you need to have a lot of good questions for a coach in order to get the best coach possible.
So I think a question that a lot of people actually tend to kind of overlook, and I think is a super important question to ask coaches, is what are your methods on diuretics and fat loss? Because at least in my opinion, I think those are even more damaging than I would say most anabolics. Obviously, like with those, you got to be very careful with that. But diuretics and fat burners are something that are just as, if not more dangerous, because everybody and every body handles those differently. And they can easily be pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, but you are completely damaging your insides. Another thing I like to look at is um, what are your methods for, gosh, how do I word this? Your methods for like off season versus in prep. Like, how long do you like to do a prep? Or I like to do kind of like what if situations too. I also like to see, I sometimes, and I have for this, my current coach as well as other coaches, I actually message their athletes, be like, hey, how is this guy treating you? I'm not asking to like beat around the bush or whatever, but I'm interested in coaching, and there's no better way to find out about someone than ask their athletes directly. Um, Obviously, when it comes to pictures, that's a really big factor. But then if you look at pictures and then you talk to the athletes, that can be something completely different. Like there's a couple coaches I actually interviewed that have had lots of athletes die.
Yes.
And those are things you really got to keep in consideration. And how a coach present themselves. Google's a great tool. Facebook is a great tool. There's so much you can find on somebody. But um, I guess something also super important is how much they ask about you, because ultimately it's not about you giving yourself a sales pitch to them. It's them either accepting you for who you are and who you're not. Sometimes I like to throw in little like hypothetical situations or like even stories and see how they kind of address it with me already going through that situation or whatnot. And I don't know, just the more you know, the better.
Well, here's how I differ from some of those coaches. If I had one of my competitors die, I don't think I'd still be a coach after. I mean, I think even if it wasn't my fault at all, I'd be like, yeah, this might like if one of my podcast guests died while on air with me. I don't think I'd be I don't think I'd be doing podcasts, probably ever again, but I don't get it myself, but yeah, diuretics. I mean, yeah, that's the big killer right there that I've heard from people for, especially like this last, not this year, but the year before that when everyone seemed to be just dropping dead on stage really, or just outside of it. That was the big thing. So I started to talk to a lot of people about diuretics, and I didn't really know that much about it because, you know, the only diuretics I've ever heard of were like from the sorority girls in college, basically, that are just, just popping them like pills, basically. So yeah, that's really all I got. But you mentioned you have an autoimmune disease. What's the name of the disease?
So it's called Hashimoto's disease. So my thyroid doesn't work at all.
Okay.
So I produce no thyroid hormones. Like it is like a shrunken up testicle. So I have no T3, no T4, and I have to take chemical compounds to make those. And for those who do know what your thyroid does, is it regulates your estrogen, your testosterone, your digestive hormones, your stress hormones. It is basically a hormone super center. And because mine doesn't work, I'm not able to produce a lot of those things. So therefore, it's very hard for me to lose weight. It's very hard for me to manage stress. It is impossible for me to maintain focus. It's my digestive system can freak out. It's Oh my gosh, without having those, it's a complete mess. It really is. And so that's why, like, I was eating less than 1,000 calories a day, like maybe 600 to 800 when I was getting on stage. And then my physique just turned to crap because we didn't know. And afterwards, that's when we found out, and then started taking meds to fix that. And it's been getting a lot better. It really has. But unfortunately, with Hashimoto's disease, it's not one that like you take this same dosage for like the rest of your life. So like every 6 weeks, I have to switch things up, and every 4 weeks, I have to get new blood work done. So it's honestly like very, very, very touchy, and I have to be so careful with what I like eat, how I manage stress, how I sleep, and like all that stuff. So it's frustrating, but it's not unmanageable.
So did they say how it came to be? Was it was just inside of you the whole time and then it just popped up, or was it like I know some people from the stresses of competing sometimes develop autoimmune stuff, but did they know what the cause of it was?
So it's actually genetic. My dad has it, and it didn't actually take place until I got to a low body fat percentage. That's when it started actually acting up. So thanks, Dad, for the gift. Appreciate it.
Well, I mean, 600 calories. What do you expect? Come on now, Leanna.
I mean, someone who's my height should not be doing that. And that's another thing I was like, okay, this
Wait, so
doesn't.
what were you eating for the 600 to 800 calories?
Oh, geez. I was eating like pretty much just boiled chicken and broccoli. Oh God, I was on carbs for a long time, like boiled chicken, broccoli, turkey, lots of cod. Oh God, I hate cod.
What is that, like one
Um,
or two chicken breasts? Basically, that seems like about it.
that's
Basically, yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awful, and I felt like crap. But we felt like crap because my thyroid was cracked, so everything was just crap. And I know when I do compete again, it's going to be completely different, and we are going to blow that old physique out of the park.
Well, since we last had you on, what do you think is one body part that you've improved on most?
Is everything an answer?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
um, I mean, everything in legs, really legs. That is something I have gone balls to the wall with, because having my height and such long legs, like anatomically, you have to think about it. Everybody has the exact same muscular structure, right? But the longer your bones are, the more stretched out those muscles are. So it gives the illusion that they are smaller. So like I'm mostly legs, mostly. So I have to really work my butt off for those bad boys to grow. And that is something I've just really just started pounding, and we're still pounding to try to give the illusion of them being bigger.
I don't know if you forgot, but like I told you before, I am 6'3", so I understand every word that you are saying to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So don't even get me started on that. I mean,
It's frustrating.
Jesus, even I mean, I go on walks at night. Luckily, since I last had you on, my calves got a little bit bigger just because I've gone on so many walks late at night. Especially, I can't do it during the day now because I'll just get burnt to an absolute crisp. It was 103 on Monday, and I had to wait. It was still like 95 at like 9 o'clock at night, and I went out and just that is just absolutely awful. But when it comes to the training aspect too, how did your new trainer sort of mix things up where you're not where you're putting on more size as opposed to how you were like before?
So he has more of like a scientific and more, I would say, kinesiology based style training, which I really, really appreciate. Especially as I get farther into education, my education, I can learn more about these, and I can be like, oh, okay, I see, rather than just blindly going into a plan and having trust. Um, he asks for videos quite regularly to see if I'm doing something right, if I'm doing something wrong. And it's it's very it's more method based, if that makes sense. So it's like rest pauses, drop sets, really controlling the weight, really just not being a Neanderthal. And it's really helped things significantly. And it's been humbling too, because like I'm someone who freaking loves to like lift heavy and just go ham and all that. But it's really emphasizes the science behind training, and also emphasizes that it takes an experienced lifter to make lightweight heavy. Like when being in connections with Kai Green, he's actually one of my really good friends. He We would sometimes talk about this, and he told me lifting heavy is a tool. Moving weight smart and light is where you're going to see the most progress, and I have noticed that firsthand.
I saw that video that you did when you were with Kai Green, and I was like, did that guy just eat the dumbbells? Like, what does he do basically? I mean, that guy's just like, how's he even fit through doors? Like, is it shocking to meet someone that big in person?
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily really shocking, but it's definitely humbling, I would say. Because like, what's funny for me is because like I met Derek Lungford, I know Kai Green, I know some like Dorian Haywood. I know a whole bunch of like open bodybuilding men, right? It's like you meet them and it's like I'm either looking at the top of their heads or like at eye level with them, but then they just got where I have in height, they have in width. I'm like, what?
Yep. No, I mean that's why I have never gone to the Minneapolis bodybuilding gyms myself, because I would walk in there, take one look, and just say, "Yeah, screw this, I'm done." I can't even compete with these guys. But again, I know what you're saying. Like I could bounce most of these guys like a basketball if I wanted to, basically. But
Yeah,
it's
but I
just
mean,
still so impressive. I mean, yeah.
yeah, people like have such a bad stereotype on like these big guys being like rude and abrasive and just these mean. When in reality, they're just massive teddy bears that just like to lift weight and like eat protein, you know?
The bad thing is that like with that stereotype, there's always that one guy that proves that stereotype. Like there's this guy in college that I knew. He was like 6'5", like 320 pounds. He just grunted the entire time. Like he didn't even communicate with you verbally. This is like his entire thing. I mean, he was just like dung dung. I mean, yeah, he was just. I almost want to go up to one time and be like, "You are setting everyone back so badly by just being yourself at the gym." Like he's that one guy. But yeah, with the one thing, that's why I love still having bodybuilders on the podcast, because yeah, there's some of the nicest people on the planet that they just like to lift heavy weights. But I want to imagine what the hell Kai Green's food budget is like, because good God.
Yeah, you know what? I don't actually really know, but I did do a meet and greet with him and he stole my gummy worms.
I mean, you can't really do anything when a guy's that big, but I mean, like, let's.
Here's the thing. I'd rather share the fat than get fat alone.
That's true. That's true. You do have a good point, and yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like to do all that stuff and do everything. But we mentioned before we started talking on the podcast, we mentioned Redcon and what it's like to be a sponsored athlete. What is it like? Because I talk to so many people who, like, at the very end of the podcast, I tell them like, "Oh, you want to give a shout out to these places or whatever," and then they give a shout out to their sponsors. But I never ask them like, what does it entail? So when you sign the dotted line, what does that mean, and what do they provide for you, and what does that whole lifestyle entail of being a sponsored athlete?
If I'm gonna be completely honest, like I every day, like I'm just like, how the hell did I get this position? Because I am the youngest athlete there. I am the least experienced when it comes into bodybuilding. I'm the least experienced when it comes to shows. But they saw something in me that I guess I didn't see in myself. They saw some potential in me, some growth and all that. And it is absolutely one of the biggest driving forces in me getting better as a bodybuilder. Because, like, this isn't just for me now. This is for me and Redcon 1. You know, like, I cannot be going out there having a workout and representing them badly. That is not what I do. Like, it makes me feel bad in some ways because there are some other people who I would say look better, have more experience, are older and all that stuff, and don't have these opportunities. But it really makes me feel blessed. I obviously like I have to post and I have to promote the product, but even more than that, I have to fully educate myself around myself on the product because ultimately it's not the product that makes me, it's me helping make the product come to life and show these are what you need to do and this is why. Um, Gosh, they definitely help me out financially. They help me out when it comes to connections and support. I with a lot of the other athletes, I have found unbreakable friendships and bonds now, which I'm truly grateful for. I meet some super great people. I get to help inspire a whole bunch of people. I get to go outside my comfort zone and do a whole bunch of things I wouldn't normally do. You know, it gives a little more purpose to what I do. Um, I usually find out about things within the company before anybody else does, which is pretty exciting, and it's hard to hold my tongue, but I got to do it. They trap
If you got any insider trading tips, just send me a little message every once in a while.
insider trader tips.
Trading for
Oh,
stock prices or anything like that. If they have
actually, we don't even have like we're still labeled as private, so we're not
Okay.
public, so we're not on the stock market yet.
All right. Well,
But you better bet your butt when it does come public, I am purchasing like couple thousand shares.
I have never told this, but I did a summer internship when I was in college working for a stock market close to my home city, and the Wolf of Wall Street is the most accurate portrayal of those guys that I've ever seen in my entire life. It was ridiculous. Like I was setting up dinners with guys' mistresses and stuff like that because I was like an assistant to one of them. I was setting up dinners for, oh, Mrs. So and So will come and see you, and your wife is out of town, so have fun. It was ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie, it was an internship, but at the end of my internship, I had $3,000 in a hat given to me as a tip from all the guys at the stock market. So crazy guys. I mean, they were all on drugs basically, but it was a fun summer. I'll just say that. I learned a lot about things, but it was
You learned a
definitely.
lot about a lot and got some good social skills and inside intelligence.
Yeah, yeah. I learned a little more than I thought I needed to, but hey, it's always you're always gonna find that in a lot of things in life. But I mean, being a sponsorship, I mean, it's just so great. But out of the Redcon products, and by the way, everyone go buy Redcon. I'll just leave that little plug right here right now on the podcast. But what is your favorite Redcon product to use?
That's hard because I can't solely put it on one product because there is such a broad spectrum of the products we do have. When it comes to protein, the Emery Light and the Isotope is going to be our whey blend or our whey protein, and then Emery Light is a meal replacement type deal, but also great for post working out. Total War, multi-award winning pre-workout with stim. You could do the non-stim, which is big noise. I like the L-carnitine to have in the morning because it does help with digestion and all that stuff. Double Tap is a good mild fat burner to have in the mornings. Let's see. The Grunt EAA is one of the best EAAs on the market because it has all 10 of the essential amino acids rather than some sort of proprietary blend or like only 8 out of the 10 skimping out on those. It has all 10 of them. Let's see. Gosh, I really have no complaints about any of the products. Oh, the best tasting greens ever. Like, you know how greens normally taste like they're disgusting?
Greens. What do you
Like
mean by greens?
like powdered greens. Like
Never
it's
had them.
you gotta try GI juice. It actually tastes great. Pineapple banana is my favorite. It actually tastes really good because normal powdered greens kind of taste like you're eating lawn trimmings. This tastes good. It tastes like the naked juice.
Never had that.
Oh my gosh, the naked green juice.
I'm not gonna lie. The only protein or the only shakes I've ever done was I just had the creatine whey protein. That's the only thing I've ever done. That's it.
Try Redcon 1.
I should. I mean, but here's the thing: when I'm as hyper as I am, I don't want to ever take a pre-workout because for the safety of the public, I don't want to, like burn a place down or anything like that or just explode. So, there's a positive to that. I mean, aspect of me not taking things, but I have wanted to try some things. I did try. One other thing that I tried was another like post-workout shake, and it tasted like birthday cake, but it was horrible because you don't want to have a shake that tastes like birthday cake because then you're just not.
How did you get that?
It was my little brother got it, and then I figured, hey, might as well try it because he's doing it too. Because he moved out to San Diego like 4 months ago, so he was working out religiously for a solid year ahead of time just so he could get his California bod going. So don't even get me started on that. Trying to fall asleep, and he's working out at like 1 a.m. downstairs, and it's like, okay, you're cool, but
Jeez.
oh my god, the things we do for that to get that look, Leanna. I mean, I tell you, but what is your relationship with cardio like now that you've realized that like, hey, you need to put on some more size and you are gonna like naturally not. It's gonna be harder for you. Has cardio gotten easier for you?
Like cardio,
Yeah.
like actually, like oh my gosh, don't say the C word. I'm just kidding. No, I do cardio daily. I don't have a problem with it. I think cardio is very mental. And I think people develop their own kind of stigma on how bad cardio is and everything. It's good for you. It's good for your heart. It's good for your joints. It's good for everything. I mean, obviously, it doesn't have to be super heavy intense for like hours and hours and hours a day, but like I do 20 minutes post lift and I sometimes do 30 minutes fasted in the morning, sometimes. But I don't have a problem with cardio. I mean, it's cardio, but it's good for you.
Yeah, 5 days a week I go on an hour and 40-minute walk, so that's
See, that's not bad.
yeah.
See, that's the kind of cardio that's good. Like people always say cardio is like running or whatever. It can honestly just be anything. Cardio, big picture, is something that elevates your heart rate from a steady state. That is all cardio is.
My record is 5 hours. I did 20 miles. I think it was 20 or 21. I did like 33 or 34,000 steps. So it was, ugh, good God, that was horrible. But hey, that was one of those where I just got some bad news and I was like, okay, I'm going to walk this out. And the next thing you know, I got lost and I'm just like, okay, how do I get home now? So then it was originally going to be like an hour or two. And then I was like, yeah, next thing you know, I feel some like I feel my feet are warm or something like that. It's because there's blood on them because my blisters had popped and stuff like that from walking. So, yeah, that was fun. That was a fun. Hey, hey, I try to get 10,000 steps a day, so I didn't have to do it the next day because I went from like 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. So from the midnight to 2 a.m. I got my 10,000 steps in, so I didn't have to do it that day. But there's pauses in that. But here, everyone, tip for you: double socket. I have found I do not get any blisters anymore if you double socket.
Or just get shoes that don't cause you to have blisters.
That would make sense though.
You could do barefoot.
Oh my, okay, so at the end of that walk, that's what I was doing towards the end of it because my feet were just so messed. I was doing barefoot and then yeah, it was yeah, it's just not. But I am a glutton for punishment, so I embrace the pain. I'm a Minnesotan, so it just comes with the territory. You embrace the pain and you're yeah, I mean, it's just how it goes. But you mentioned like before how stressful it is to do all this stuff while being in college. Do you have any ways to sort of balance your life out a little bit? Because like you mentioned your schedule already and you didn't even mention going to college in that as well. So how do you balance things so that you aren't going crazy?
Well, the truth of the matter is I am going crazy and I'm still learning how to manage it. Um, the fact of the matter is I could be an amazing bodybuilder, but I can't be an amazing bodybuilder because I have college. I could be a 4.0 student, but I can't be a 4.0 student because I have bodybuilding. So the fact of the matter is I don't want to be a 4.0 student. My time for being a great bodybuilder will come. But right now I am developing my hobby and my future simultaneously. So, and they do intertwine with each other. So the best thing I would say recommendation wise is to really set out your schedule. Syllabuses are going to be your best friends. They will tell you everything you need. You don't need to necessarily have like a social life outside. You really don't. And that's something I've learned. Um, and it's something I wouldn't say I regret. I don't regret not hanging out with my friends. I don't like, oh well.
Your friends
Um,
love hearing that, I bet.
they've just kind of come to terms with it. It's like, because if you're not gonna, I guess, kind of work with me, then what's your point of being in my corner with me, if that makes sense? Um, but definitely lay out your schedule, get good sleep, spend a little bit on everything each day. So like you don't you're not going to have a good day if you just pound out an hour of studying. But like if you're 3 weeks in advance from your exam, if you do 15 minutes a day for 3 weeks, that's going to be even more beneficial and sit more into long-term memory than it is going to be if you pound out an hour and then expect to do really, really well. So it's not about putting X amount of time in immediately. It's about spreading things out. And like a lot of times, like what I'll do is I'll like bring like my notebook or like a textbook and I'll read while doing cardio. It's like you can overlap these things or like in between sets, just bring flashcards and just run through a few. Um, it's obviously these might not work for someone else, but they do work for me. And thankfully I have a major and a passion that does fit in with bodybuilding, and that's going to be sports med. So I can kind of overlap the two quite a bit.
Yep, that's what my older brother did. And by the way, you're talking to a 3.1 GPA, and I only studied twice my entire time in college.
Oh my gosh, you're so lucky.
Well, Parks and Rec was an easy class to take. I'll just be completely honest. So, and you make the right connections with some of the teachers too, and I just sleep my way through college. So, let's be honest, I became very popular with a lot of the teachers. So, that's how I made my way through personally. Don't recommend it, but hey, it's worth it. And it's worth it in the end. But, with,
Oh yeah, also communicate with your teachers.
yeah, that too.
Definitely communicate with your teachers. Like obviously some are going to be more lenient and supportive than others, but like just tell them what you're going through and ask them the best way to do it.
Make up a dead relative every once in a while. That's what I did. It always helps. That's
Don't do prep while you're in school. Don't do it. It's not worth it. The stage is always going to be there.
how did you cope with that?
It was not good. I don't want to talk about it.
All right, fine. Moving on, everyone. I mean, I couldn't imagine that either. Going through my college. Now, like I said, I never studied, but like that still doesn't mean that I didn't have a lot of stressful days too. So I can't yeah. So you talked about how with your autoimmune disease, it like stress becomes even worse for you. How have you found ways to sort of deregulate your stress? Because that is one of the most important things that most people do not talk about this lifestyle is getting your stress to a normal point where it isn't affecting you and causing you to gain weight.
Yeah, the best way to do it is just to be in routine. That's like, if you know what you're about to go through throughout the day, like that's gonna be the best way. Um, Also, like there is a supplement. It's called ashwagandha. It's a root. It's really helpful. It definitely does help. But like if you just have like a plan, you should be good. You know, like get to things early, do things quickly and effectively. You know, like avoid things that do potentially cause stressors. Like put down your phone. You know, it's like nobody really cares at the end of the day. And definitely do take time to do self care or anything that works best for you. Like for me, what works best for me when it comes to de stressing is spending time with my dog or going outside, doing something outdoors, going to the gym, but definitely have a way to decompress throughout the day. Staying away from blue light is going to be good. I know I just mentioned that, but like putting down your phone at least 30 minutes before you go to bed is going to be perfect. Just really figure things out. Listen to like relaxing music, like when I walk to classes, that's another form of cardio. Like listening to like symphony music or whatever, rather than like Five Finger Death Punch or I Prevail is gonna definitely help out too. It's all about, just keeping things mellow and in routine.
Also, not getting messages from Leanna on Instagram at 1 a.m. my time, trying to fall asleep. That also helps as well.
Well, why do you have your notifications on?
No, I always do. That's the problem too. So like I forget who I'm talking to sometimes. I'll get messages at like 4:30 in the morning my time, like, oh yeah, and I'm like, I just want to message. I am not like you. I do not I do not get up at 4:30 for my stuff. No, I don't even know how to turn my notifications off, to be completely honest. So like I have had that all the time where like people like will send me a message and then I'll wait like a day to respond to them because I literally just haven't seen it, and they'll be like, why did it take you a day to respond? You had your notifications on. And I was like, I don't. So I'll have to learn that
You
myself.
want to hear something funny?
What?
So I just got a text from my coach. He said, I think with your long arms, you should learn the Conor McGregor walk and hit that every time you do a PR. See, it's the relationships like that where it's funny, but like also great.
Okay, well we mentioned messages, and I have to bring this up because like you're an attractive younger woman on Instagram as a fitness model. The messages that you receive, how do you cope with that as a human being? Because like I feature these people on my podcast. I still get some messages from people thinking that I am a woman doing all this stuff, and I'll get some really weird messages. It drives me crazy. I cannot imagine the stuff that you deal with. So do you just like have to just shut that off basically on your brain?
Have you not seen my TikTok?
I've seen some of them, but it's like I would have deleted Instagram like a year ago. But if I'm completely honest, like I don't get it.
Um, for me, I kind of have a really grotesque sense of humor. I find it comical. It's like I find joy in the idiocracy of human beings. There's definitely some weird ones. I'm just like, how do you cope with yourself? But majority of the time, it's like, all right, whatever. Because like big picture, like these people are never going to say these things to your face ever. If they see you in public, I guarantee they're just gonna be like one of those weirdos just staring around the corner, but they're not actually gonna do anything about it, you know? Um, so I know it's weird, but like the words are only words until they're actions, and there will not be any actions. Like you gotta look at these people like, dude, you had never seen pussy since the day you came out. Like, shut up. Like, um, it's a lot of the times people will say these things to get a reaction out of you. And if you give them a reaction, if you give them a response, so what are they going to do? They're just going to feed off of that, you know? So, like, that's thing you could do is screenshot it. I have a group chat with some other, like, bodybuilders where we send these, block them, enjoy them. It is what it is.
I'm not gonna lie, I literally pretend to be a woman if I get one of those responses and see how long I can drag it out to see like what
Uh-huh.
I can get from the guy. And then one guy was like offering me like $10,000 for like a session or whatever, and I was like,
Let me get, it was a lift and carry session.
something like that. Yeah, I don't know. He just said something like that, and I said, make it 11,000 and you got a deal. And then the guy like set like a whole date up and everything like that. Never showed up. Never did.
Oh my gosh, you dirty, dirty dog.
Hey, if you're gonna be, what do you expect, everyone? I mean, come on now. I was the guy who like, yeah. You said that you have a grotesque sense of humor. I raise it because like I normally I don't meet a lot of women that have the same type of grotesque sense of humor that I do, but I will have to send you some of the stuff that I get then because it is ridiculous. And then I'm like, if you've ever watched the podcast, you know that I'm not one of them, right? Like, it's just like I just feature them on the show. But again, some of these people just see one video and then like I posted one of a guest that I recently had on who's like 62 years old bodybuilder, and then he's like,
Yeah.
how just said the most grotesque things. I was like, you wouldn't say that to, first of all, a 22-year-old as opposed to I mean, it's, don't even get me started on that. But yeah, how do you deal with also that stuff in public though too? Because like you mentioned, there are some creepy people out there too that just stare and stuff. How do you cope with that at least?
Oh, I forgot to mention. A lot of the time, I let a lot of my bodybuilder friends have access to my phone and respond to them or see them. My boyfriend responds to a lot of them. My little brother does too. It's like, hey, what did you get
Your
today? And
poor
then it's
little
like,
brother responding to his sister's sex mail, basically.
well, he's 18.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
he has fun with them too because we have very similar senses of humor. It's kind of it's funny stuff. And it's usually like he'll say something like really stupid. Like there was one message where this guy was like really grotesque, and then he said, "Why don't you just go stick your tongue in an electrical outlet for me, please?" It's stuff like that. But people in public, um, the thing is I dressed very modestly. Like this, I wear stuff like this. I don't want to draw attention to myself because at the end of the day, I don't bodybuild to look good. I bodybuild for myself. Um, like I would say the hardest part or the weirdest instances is when I'm like in the dressing room and trying things on, and like I'm like with my mom or like my friends or whatever. I'm like, hey, how does this look? And then you got the mom with her like 3 daughters, and they're like, what? Or like it's like looking like I'm about to burst out of something. But um, I don't try to draw attention to myself. Obviously, it does happen sometimes, and you got to be cool with it. Like most people, they're going to stare oddly just because you are something that's different. Don't take it personally. What we do is different. It's just it's it's outside of the normal. So like if they have questions, I mean, answer them, be respectful. I mean, obviously you don't owe them anything, but like you don't even owe them the time of your day. But it does take zero effort to be a decent human being.
I'm not gonna lie, just a moment of truth right here, and I was gonna say it eventually on the podcast, but like there's tons of fans of this show that like message me and email me and stuff like that, and some of them are nice and some of them aren't nice. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care about any of you guys. Like I'm just being completely honest. Like I don't care. Like they want to be friends and stuff like that. It's like that's fine. It's like I don't need any. It's like I can talk to you and stuff like that, but like you can tell they want something from you, and you're just like, just watch the show if you really enjoy that. But like I didn't start this to make friends or do anything like that. It's like if anyone that I'm gonna be friendly with, it's gonna be the guest because they're the guest and I enjoy talking to them. But it's like there's some people that like literally just take this too far where they see that my persona is this nice guy on, and they assume that I'm like that 24/7, which I'm not. I tend to be generally a nicer person, but like it's like they reach too far too. So I like to set boundaries too as well, where it's like, you know.
Yeah, so you're telling me you don't want to have a sleepover and paint each other's toenails together?
I mean, there's a certain amount of liquor that might actually happen then, but if you got me just like you got me a whole bottle of Jack Daniels and some LSD, then maybe. But hey, there was one girl in high school that I let her shave my legs because I had a crush on her, and I thought that would amount to something, and it did not. So that just goes. That was the simp freshman year Ryan Johnson, basically.
That is
So
hilarious.
and you know what she did? She shaved her initials into my legs. Yeah. Yep. That was Ryan for you. Yep.
Well, I mean, I guess that takes ownership to a whole different level.
Yeah. Hey, I owned up to it. I did. She's like, oh, wouldn't that be fun? She didn't tell me she was going to do it, but then afterwards I looked and I was like, oh, there are your initials in it. So whatever. But hey, everyone has their simp period, no matter what, no matter at any age group, everyone has that. But some people, like we've learned from you, they're in their 40s and they still have it. So hey, it is what it is. But just with this whole lifestyle in general, I get this every single time I talk to a bodybuilder on the podcast. No matter what, I say this to myself: why do they do this? Why do they put themselves through this? I hear these prep brain stories. I hear all these other stories. And I'm like, why do they do this to themselves? Obviously, I know why, but you probably hear that all the time. What is your why that you like to tell people when they ask you, like, why do you subject yourself to this?
Mm-hmm. And honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest, there is no one direct answer. A lot turned into a lot, which turned to bodybuilding. I will tell different answers to different people depending on who they are. Like, I'm not about to like spill my whole life story onto someone, but the big picture is
You killed a man, right?
yes, at least, at least. Now, I didn't intend to get into bodybuilding. I never wanted to be a bodybuilder. I thought bodybuilding was completely narcissistic, self-centered, and vain. I was going to the gym because I had medically retired from doing D1 sports because my body was not holding up. And my old coach found me, pretty much stalked me, and like for like 3 weeks. And then eventually like I had to walk by him and he like tried to wave me down. I was like, okay, dude, listen, you're not getting my phone number. We're not going on a date. Like, what do you want from me? And he goes, have you ever thought about bodybuilding? I was like, oh my God, this guy's like ridiculous. I was like, at that point in my life, I was very low. Like, I was at the point where I've kind of just come, not necessarily to terms, but I've realized that like I have been walked over the majority of my life. You know, like I was terribly bullied in middle school. I was that crazy horse girl that
Let's
had
bully
gone.
the blonde hair, blue eyed chick. Yeah, she's an easy target.
Well, no, people don't recognize me from middle school and high school anymore. I had like headgear. I didn't know makeup. I was super skinny. Like I was definitely that girl in Finding Nemo, you know? And then at the same time, I also rode horses, so I was that crazy horse girl that came in with hay in her hair. Um, and like I also did a lot in middle and high school. Like I was in band, I was in track, I was in wrestling, I was in the honors program. So I never fit into one group. I was always kind of an outlier, and people like to take advantage of that and kind of step on me. I was definitely say I was heavily bullied. And so at that point, I was just getting into college, and I was like, all right, well, you know what? What's going to hurt sitting down having a conversation with this guy? Sat down, had a conversation, and he encouraged me to try it out. I was like, all right, well, he's not charging me. I'm going to the gym anyway. What's really going to be the matter if I clean up my diet too? And that's when I found my place, you know? And that's when I found, I guess, my purpose and my why. Since then, my why has really developed into I don't want to necessarily be taken advantage of. I do not want to be the same as everybody else. I don't want to live in the shadow of a million other people. I want to break the stereotypes. I want to create I don't know. God, it's so hard to really put it into words. There's so much. But yeah, there's a lot that goes behind it. And long story short, it just came from people treating me like me, not letting it get to me and redirecting that energy to bettering me, and having someone really encourage me to step outside my comfort zone and taking that opportunity and doing it. That's the
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. If you'd never done bodybuilding, where do you think you'd be at right now?
oh
I could picture you'd be like an accountant or something, probably.
I would probably be have I would I I don't know. I don't know. Like I that is something I genuinely do not know because I've never even really thought about it. I mean, I've always had that athletic background my entire life, but I would probably say I would be in the group of bad people, probably have an alcohol problem or substance problem. I would not look good. I would probably have a really bad relationship with myself and maybe with someone else. And I'd be wasting my time doing things that didn't mean much to me.
So, in other words, you'd be a cool person.
Yeah, I'd be a babe with a body count of probably like 100 and no real substance to me.
just the way I like them. No, I'm just kidding. But no. No.
Reach high, Brian.
No. No, I like them when they can breathe. That's a plus for me. When they're able to, and when they're able to open doors, that's a big plus for me too. When they have that functioning brain where they can like do some basic activities. But we're not talking about me here, okay, and everything like that. But yeah, and I asked you this question last time. We're gonna ask it again. If you could change one thing about the sport of bodybuilding and everyone would go along with it, what would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
ILS, invisible lat syndrome.
I think you said that last time too, but I agree.
Okay, then I'll do another one. Just because you turn down the exposure and you know how to do a lat spread doesn't make you a bodybuilder. Also, between the men and the women, it is a very, 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 very different sport. For example, shows. To do a national show, okay, we're going to start locally. For a pair of NPC men's physique or men's classic shorts, it's about $25-$40. For a over the counter, this is nothing specialized. This is just over the counter figure suit. It's going to be anywhere between $200 and $2,000. On top of that, we both have entry fees. We both have spray tans. For women, we have hair, makeup, and heels. That's going to be an additional $500. Nationally, for a national suit, which has to be custom fit to you and has to be one of a kind, you cannot get a box suit for national show. That's going to be anywhere between $2,000 and $12,000 for women. You need heels, hair, tan, makeup, entry fee. For men, you still have the $25 to maybe $65, we'll say $65, $70 posing sock or posing trunks and spray tan entry fee. So you have probably, I would say, a $2,000 to $5,000 difference between men and women competing. And women have to look sexy. And that's some, I mean, if you're bikini or wellness, that makes sense. I mean, I'm not spreading my cheeks in front of the judges. I appreciate those who do it, but that is not something that's about me. But when it comes to the real nitty-gritty bodybuilding, I don't see why it has to be sexualized or beautified. That's the only thing I would change about that.
Well, and let's be honest too, when you get to the upper levels of bodybuilding, you're not going to see a Jennifer Aniston on the stage. So, it's...
No, because they're not years, and at that time they're in their 30s and their 40s.
No, I know, but I'm always just saying too, like how they try to make it like a part beauty pageant, part bodybuilding show. It's like, why? Like, what about this is supposed to be beautiful? You don't see the guys have. That's the one thing I've always said really irks me too. Is it like, yeah, they make it part beauty pageant, part bodybuilding. Where yeah, it's like 75% bodybuilding, but then they also add like the 25% where you have to have all your makeup on. It is ridiculous too. I agree with you 100% on
that. It's ridiculous. That's the only part that really frustrates me.
And again, since if anyone's never heard of it, can you explain what invisible lat syndrome is to the ill-informed?
Can I just demonstrate it?
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, this is invisible lat syndrome. Obviously, okay, we're going to try to do this because I have lats. When you walk normally, right, your arms should go by your side like this. Invisible lat syndrome. And it's mostly in guys. Your arms don't move with your walking. Your lats are constantly flared. And your chest is raised.
How are people supposed to not know that I'm huge though? Then if I don't do that,
well, maybe just be huge. You're not supposed to make people think you're huge. If you're huge, people will know you're huge.
I'm not gonna lie. One time I walked like that in high school. It was like my senior year after I'd gone to the gym, the school gym, and one of the coaches just went up to me and goes, "Ryan, what the hell are you doing?" And I was like, "Nothing." He's like, "Why are you walking like that?" And I was like, because I got a pump on." He's like, "So." And that I haven't done it since then. Okay, I got scared straight that way, basically.
Yeah, ILS. It is the bigger pandemic than coronavirus.
Yes. Oh, 100%. That and small calf syndrome. That is one thing that I need to bring. I think we all need to bring awareness to. That is
small calf syndrome.
The silent killer. Lost a lot of good men to that disease. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah, they just amputated him because they said, I can't deal with it anymore. So they said I'd rather be a paraplegic, but hey, I guess that's where the mindset is. But when we do have you on a year from now, because we'll have you on a year, I won't wait a whole year and a half. Good God, I mean, I got so wrapped up in this. You're the one guest that I've gotten the most requests to have back on. It's been like 20 different people have like emailed me and be like, when are you gonna have Leanna on? Well, one guy asked me if I had any nude photos of you, and I was just like, yep, because that's what I do. That's my entire life, is that I get these guests on, and then I'm like, yeah, that's the whole reason I started this podcast. You got to get some nude
Send
photos of these guys.
nudes.
Yeah, send nudes, basically. Yep, that's what I do, everyone.
This is what you do. Whenever somebody asks me to send nudes, I always take spaghetti. Those are nudes. I send nudes.
Well, whenever someone just asks me for whenever someone asks for a dick pic, I send them a pic of Richard Nixon.
Yeah, or like whenever they say send nudes, you go to like Google Images and press nudes. You said nudes, not my nudes.
Oh yeah, I usually used to find like the biggest black dick I could find online and then just send it to them. Yeah, and then I'd just be like, now you know my secret. Yeah.
Same thing.
Or when I was a kid, there was a Clydesdale that I saw one time that had the biggest erection ever, and I took a photo of it, and I usually just send that photo then just to which, by the way, it was like 3 feet long. So I'm like, okay, that's that's overselling.
Horses. That's
Jesus
hilarious.
Christ.
But no, that means a lot that people do want me back. A lot has changed since then. I've put on quite a bit of size. My mindset's really solidified. I'm more stable with myself. A lot has changed, and it's all for the better. I have no complaints.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot from a year and a half ago, but I now realize within about 5 minutes of talking to you why people want it, because you're such an easy person to talk to, and it's a lot of back and forth. I've had some guests where, like I've told you before, I ask them, so why don't you just share your health and fitness journey with us? Oh, I was just out of shape and I wanted to get in shape, so I just started working out. And then you're just like, oh, great talking to you. And so I've had some of those, but I've also had the other one where I asked the guest, give us your backstory, and 28 minutes later, I was able to get in another question. So that is the record, and that will never be topped. Second place is at 15 minutes. So.
See, I felt like I was taking forever.
No. Trust me, take as much time as you want. It makes my editing process so much easier because I hate listening to my voice. I don't know why I still do this if I have to talk to myself. If anything, I want to do like, I saw one podcast that you did kind of before where like the person had it where just like they had the question appear on the screen and then you just answered it. So the person wasn't even asking you the thing. I forgot what it was. It was from a while ago, but like I was like, okay, that's actually a smarter thing to do, but that would take me, even more time. But
yeah, there's a podcast I was on probably about a month or two ago where the guy only talked about himself. And I was like, what's the point of me being here?
I'm not gonna lie. I know that I've inspired a lot of podcasts to start, especially for like bodybuilding podcast. Like, there's dozens of them now, and when I started, I was the only one. But like, you look at them now, and there are a lot like that where it's like the host doesn't realize. Just shut up. No one cares about you. They care about the guests. Yeah, you can add a nice little funny taste into it, every once in a while. But like, they don't give a shit about you. I mean, maybe if you've done it like me and you've done over like out of the 3 podcasts that you told, I've done like 850 of them. Then you can maybe start to open up a little bit more about yourself every once in a while on the podcast. But like, they don't care about you. They don't I mean, the only reason I put my face even on the screen when I publish these podcasts is so that people don't copyright them and just use the stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so question for you then, since you've been asking questions.
Yeah.
This is podcast related. Do you think people start podcasts just as a way to get to talk to athletes like myself, rather than actually developing holistic and wealthy information from the podcast?
Well, for me, I started out with bands and musicians. So I did like 100 of those to start out with. And then I was like, oh, hey, I've been into working out, ever since high school. I should have some of them come on. And then, I'm not going to lie. Like, since this is the 4-year anniversary of my first ever podcast, my hands were shaking like shit when I called my first guest ever. And it was just a guy from my same town who was in a band. But like, I do see a lot of people, because like one of the weird things that I don't want to inspire from this is that like a lot of those schmoes out there then all of a sudden think like, oh, I can do a podcast and then I can just like, I can get all that stuff for free that I could normally get from like, and it's like, that's the one thing that I don't want. And then a lot of them like contact me like, you have so much self-confidence to be able to talk to these people. And I was like, no, they're just people. Like, what do you talk? Like I do my celebrity podcast where I've talked to like Courtney Cox, and I just had Miley Cyrus on 2 weeks ago, and that was.
Did you really?
I'll send you a link to it when it gets published. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. And then and then I've had other ones like Danny McBride, and well, my favorite, I had Kristen Bell on. I've had her on twice and she was great. And then I had Amanda Seyfried on, and I told her, I said this verbatim, and this is the highlight of my entire podcast career. I told her, thank you so much for Jennifer's Body. The 16-year-old version of myself really appreciates that makeout scene with Megan Fox. And then she started laughing. So so that's never going to be topped by anything I do ever on the, but yeah. So I think a lot of people do that just so that, like, they can talk to people, because like that's the reason I did my celebrity podcast. That's 100% my reason. I don't give a fuck about like what their thoughts and opinions are. I did so I can say I talked to Miley Cyrus and Courtney Cox. Like, yeah. So that's the celebrity podcast. But like the health and fitness, no, you guys are just not for me at least. But I see people that I think that is the reason for a lot of these too, especially the ones that are up and coming. But there are some good podcasts out there, like Female Bodybuilding Channel's another one that just started up a ways back, and that's pretty good too. But yeah. So,
for sure.
Yep. Well, I mean, Leanna, we asked you this last time too as well. Anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up? Not that coach that offered sex for.
No, homeboy is dead to me.
Give him. Let me, after we're done talking, give me his number, and I'll tell him like I'm open for the sex offer if you're still down for that.
Oh my gosh, that would be so funny. Let's see. Who would I like to shout out? First and foremost, Redcon 1, high state of readiness. Thanks for allowing me to continue doing what I'm doing. Second is my family. Thank you for being so supportive endlessly, even though I know what I'm doing is completely out of the norm and you guys are still understanding it. But what I appreciate is you guys are trying to learn to understand it instead of shutting me out. Let's see. My new coach for dealing with my blood and my autoimmune disease, my testicle-looking thyroid that doesn't work. Let's see.
She's from Colorado, so she knows what those shrunken up testes look like, everyone.
Rocky Mountain oysters, yo.
Yeah.
And let's see. Even though it's a newer relationship, my current boyfriend, he's pretty great. He's been helping.
Oh, so you're not with the same guy that we talked to last time?
Oh, no. No, that ended a long time
ago.
The
football player?
Yeah, no, it was a mess. What happened was as soon as I got sponsored, he became like my fake manager, and he kept trying to steal from me, and he kept trying to he was very narcissistic, he was like a sponge. He would like try to soak everything up for me, and then eventually it got to the point where he was being completely terrible to me. Like, he was saying I look like a man. He was lying to his friends, saying I was like had like roid rage, or like I was completely unmanageable, and he made me feel, I've never felt worse about myself than that. But it was done a very, very, very long time before it was like officially done, but because he moved away and didn't tell me. But it's a newer relationship. I've known this guy for 4 years. He's being super awesome, super supportive, helping me with a lot. He's awesome. So thanks for that, babe. I guess thanks for the 20 plus people, or whoever asked to have me back. It means a lot that y'all are thinking about me.
Well, and I always give them the sarcastic response back, and when they say, "Are you gonna have Leanna back on?" I said I was until you asked me. No, I'm not. That's why I respond to them. But see, I like to have fun. That's like my one opportunity that I can really just do, because like I don't really care about them, so I can really treat them however I want. Because let's be honest, this show is not gonna make me a millionaire, and I am going to treat it like it's not gonna make me a millionaire, because it's not. So might as well have some fun while you're at it. But everyone, go and give Leanna a follow. I'll leave a link to her Instagram page down below. That last shot of you doing that trap, showing those traps in that last photo that you posted, good God, that's pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Hold up. So when I have so many photos. Like, I was just posing, right?
Yeah.
And then my boyfriend brings his camera.
Oh, God.
Thinks it's a great idea to shoot me. Like, I don't know if you can see. I have like like there's so many that I gotta go through.
Oh, that's years worth of material right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's only gonna get better from here. And I've been fat in my off season, and now that we're maybe going to lean out fairly soon. We'll see. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be a whole different Leanna.
Well, and lastly, before we wrap it up, so what is your, do you have a date set when you'd like to compete, or are you just trying to get through college now? Where are you at right now when it comes to being in competitions?
I'm not going to compete until next year. I will not compete during school. I will not. And I'm taking summer classes right now. I always take summer classes just so I can get a little bit ahead of the game. And it's really good not to like have a break for 3 months. It helps keep my brain sharp. But I will not compete. I will start prepping probably November, December, and I won't compete until probably May through August. I will probably compete between that time frame, and for sure I will be doing a national show. And you're going to be the only one who knows this publicly, and the podcast will know. Locally, I will be doing figure and physique.
Well,
But
good luck in those heels.
Huh?
Good luck in those heels.
No, I already do figure, so I know that physique is the bigger class that doesn't need heels and needs a whole routine. So, and then nationally, I'll be doing figure, and maybe we'll get a pro card, maybe not.
Well,
See.
as a testament to your growth and how stupid I am, I just assumed that you were in physique anyways right now. So, you know, hey, that's a compliment then, I guess, you know. So
that's sweet. Yeah, no, I do figure. Yeah, I'm not that big.
Well, hey, you're taller, so I mean that's a good thing. I mean, I've had some of these 6'4" on. It's like any of them that can put on any size of muscle. It's
impressive.
More power to them. But again, you guys, everyone go and check Leanna out. I highly recommend it, and I'll have her on again when she's getting ready for her shows. And yeah, again, it was an absolute delight to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the Spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.